Today I'm going to kind of discuss using some different materials for tying jigs. So I was sitting down here today tying a different pattern. Wanted something that had kind of a slower fall for bluegill and crappie, especially fishing around docks. And the first one I come up with was this. This is a 1/64 ounce jig, and as you can see, the red material on the back, and it's got two different size hackles, some dubbing, and then the second one I come up with, and the final is going to be this. This is what I'm going to call a split tail, and the reason being because it's a split tail on it, so it'll be identified easily. But that's going to have a real bug look, falling down through the water. And like I said, this is a 1/64 ounce, so it'll have a slow fall rate. You'll be able to shoot it or fish it under a float with not much trouble whatsoever. So let's kind of discuss tying materials today. The split tail on the fly, that is Goose Bites. You can buy them in different colors. There's a ton on each feather, so when you flip it up, see each one of them are separate pieces. And I buy them off of eBay by the bundles. A lot of times you can get more colors on there, and you can find in the tying stores. All right, the red material, that is nothing more than this multi-purpose cushion non-slip mats. They make it for put it in cabinets to keep stuff from sliding. As you can see, I think I give a couple dollars for this whole row. I'll never ever be able to use even half of it up, probably more than a foot of it in the rest of my life of tying. So, and that's what I cut it down to, is this way, because we're going to be using actually 3 of these, you can call it body or whatever, the fat part, and that's going to make the back side of it. Wire, I'm going to be using a copper wire to basically make the segments, and it's basically to tie this red material in so it don't come off easily. And for the copper wire, this is actually a winding out of a little old electric motor. I've been using this for about 2 years now, and as you can see, there's still tons of wire left on it. So materials, you can use a lot of materials that's around the house or in your garage for flying for your jig tying. I think we're going to be using a little bit of rabbit dubbing, and that's going to be a chartreuse. And then we're going to be using a black, which this one comes in a master class. It's a Oliver Edwards River and Stream package, and it's number 16, which is black midge pupa, and it's got a little bit of copper color in it. It's kind of mixed, but we're going to be using that, to making the underbelly or the underbody on it. Okay, let's see if we can get started and tie one of these. I've already got one tied in. Like I said, this is a 1/64. That's a number 4 size Aberdeen hook. Normally use sickle hooks. I just ain't got none poured up right now and painted, and I already had these. So we're going to be using a 70 diameter black thread, waxed. And the reason I'm doing this is because we're going to be putting down a lot of thread on this pattern, and I want it's smallest thread as I can have as far as the build-up's going to be on it. So we're going to start right behind the head, and we're going to lay it down. And on this one, I'm going to actually come to where the barb is on the hook point, which is right here. And that's The reason I'm going back there is to have more room to tie in the biots. And we're going to be using 2 of these, and that's going to make the split tail. Now just peel that back and you can pull them off to how many ever you need. And like I say, we're going to be using 2 on this pattern. And what we're going to do, we're going to split them. We'll tie in, and I want these about the same distance as the jig itself. I'm going to tie in 1 per side, kind of push it over, and then what I actually do is cross it. So the left side is the right side is the left. So when you put it on there, you can kind of run your thread back behind it to pull it out. And then on the other side, do the same thing. Like I said, I'm tying the surface closest to me to get the boat for the biot for the opposite side of the fly. Right. Twist them around, get them just right. Alright, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dab of super glue right on them, and all that's going to do is just tie them together and keep them from separating, and that's going to hold your pattern as many times you want to use it. Alright, now at this point we got a few things going on. We need to tie in a piece of copper wire and use those scissors to cut this wire, or it'll go down deep into your blade. Alright, we're going to tie this in. Piece of copper wire. Carry it all the way back to your bites. Hang it out of your way. Alright, we're going to use 2 different size hackles. And as you know, I use a saddle hackle. I'm going to use this saddle because this is more for dry flies, small size flies. And then I'm going to use another saddle hackle for the longer barbs on the feathers. And you're going to see this as we tie it in. Alright, what we want to do is kind of cover everything as you're putting it on. Alright, this is our smaller hackle. See, it ain't coming over the fly a whole lot. I get in the habit of calling these flies, but they're really jigs, tied like a fly, you could say. Get that out of the way. Alright, now I want to tie in the little foam pieces. What I'm going to do is where I'm going to tie it in, I'm going to make it smaller. And the reason of it is just going to be easier to tie it in on the hook. So we want to tie that right on top. And you'll have to fight it a little bit. Just keep it right on top, and you want to completely cover the red on that. Get you in there to get a layer of thread down. Alright, now this is where we're going to use our black dubbing. So we're going to use just, and what we want to do is build up this body a little bit to give it some thickness. Tie that in. Alright, we'll wrap that. Keep it on there tight. And what I'm going to do is come up maybe 2/3 of the length and leave a little bit up here on the front, because we're going to tie a little bit of different on the behind the head. Okay, so we got that in. Now what we want to do is take our hackle and start running it on a close pattern. We're going to run this all the way back up to where we run the dubbing. Stop it and tie it off right there. Tie that off good. Alright, now on this foam part. I'm gonna use my hackle pliers. I probably should have tied that a little bit longer than what I'm starting off with. So I ain't sure I'm gonna have the length to get what I'm wanting on this one. Okay, so we're gonna start our copper wire, and we're gonna run it backwards to where our thread is. And I'm gonna run it on the body till I get back up out of that first segment on this foam. So we're gonna wrap it in where we're tying that first segment. All right, then run your wire on up to your next segment and pull that foam down and tie it off or wrap around it, and you're going to basically be tying it off also. Then you run your wire on up and tie it off. I'll say take an old pair of scissors to cut this copper wire. You could probably bend it, break it, but I normally just cut it. And that copper and get it tied off good. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to tie in our hackle feather that's got the longer barbs on it, and it's going to give us a fuller neck right here behind the head. And tie that in. Now I'm wanting to use the rabbit dubbing and the chartreuse. And this is not a fluorescent chartreuse, it's just a regular chartreuse. And we're going to build up, I say right behind the head, to give that thorax area a little bit of thicker build to it. Okay, and we're going to take our hackle, and I don't want a tight rack on this wrap. What I want to do is make one complete, but then I want that dubbing to be able to show through there. So there's a wrap, there's a wrap, there's a wrap. So it wasn't but 4 wraps on that, but you're still getting that segments in your hackle, between the hackle and the dubbing itself. Then we can just tie it off like we always do. We'll finish it. What I'm gonna do is put a little bit of head cement right behind the jig head. Tie everything in. And that's the end of it. There's your split tail jig. This is going to be a good jig. Can't wait to try it out. But as you see, it's got the copper on the bottom, wrapped with your hackle and your dubbing. And then when it transfers over to your chartreuse and black on your thorax area, and then your black head, of course. But that's a 1/64th, and we'll call that a split tail. I hope y'all enjoyed tying this, and I'm going to use some different materials on some of the flies just to show you how much material is out there that is available to tie jigs with and flies, and experiment, tie you some stuff up, get out there and fish them. Yeah, you'll be surprised. But hope y'all have good luck with this one, and hope you have fun tying it. Thanks.